Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. My name is Dana Lemresis, and I am so relieved that the 5 months of venom, toxicity, and general negativity in our world is over. It feels amazing. It feels absolutely amazing. First and foremost, I just want to apologize to the tens and thousands of workers in the state of New Jersey, as well as Essex County, as well as the thousands of people that live in Livingston, New Jersey, that were inadvertently offended by my comments yesterday. I will be the first person to say that I love the United States of America. I love the state of New Jersey. I love Livingston, New Jersey. And I'm okay with Essex County right now, and I'll tell you why. Because although I have made some significant changes overnight, I still can't drop the reality that until the wrong is right, I'm still going to be slightly jaded. But on that note, I want to express to everyone how excited I am to start my most ambitious and my most proud project that I've ever started in my life. And it has taken me 5 years to set the proper foundation in order to really show everyone who the real Dana Lemresis is. The way I'm speaking right now is exactly the way that I conduct myself in court. I assure you that there are many times that I have gotten into arguments with judges, but none of that stems around my behavior. Behavior is a complex word because it really needs to be examined during the context of the said behavior. One can easily look at me and call me completely insane. And one thing that I'm going to do before I start this project is that I will now denounce my official spokesman and all of that stuff, and I'm going to solely focus on my own life and what I can offer as an individual with my actions, not my words. So in order to drop the official representation of the office of the President of the United States, I will do it temporarily in order to express to everyone that the word federal agent means nothing more than what you want it to mean in conjunction with the actions that I have taken. There are many of you who like to laugh at me and make fun of me because in your mind you have watched too many movies and you don't even recognize that a mailman is a federal agent. There are millions of human beings that are in the federal system that work in many departments of both the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, various levels of Department of Justice that do not carry a gun or a badge. And those individuals are the ones that are the heart of the success of the U.S. government, not the gun and the badge. The gun and the badge has been one of the things that I've given my life for. I want to remind everyone that thinks that I am anti-police and anti-establishment, that my name is Dana Lemresis. I am number one in the world in something called applied mathematics. And in order for me to show the true nature and the power of numbers, I have to take on my most ambitious project yet. And last night's video on New Year's Eve, no matter how much I tried to steer clear of the negativity, every word that came out of my mouth was nothing more than negative. And which is why human beings need to understand that change does not happen overnight. But you can choose to make a change for the long term overnight and take the first step on day one. And that is what I'm going to do. You will see that at this point forward, I will now utilize both aspects of my social media presence, which is my Instagram account as well as the YouTube channel. On Instagram, I'm going to post only the highlights, exactly what you want to see. So let us now begin with what is it that I will be doing that is so remarkable that has never been done before. First and foremost, I want to remind everyone that everything you see here is real. It is extremely difficult to watch last night's video, and please remember that I am a human being. Being a human being is extremely complex when you're someone who goes against a very large and broken system and your intentions are positive. So no matter what you say or do, you will be labeled as insane or unhinged or some form of negative sentiment. And I've noticed that on camera, my back itches a lot. And I think that that is just simply nothing more than a nervous tic. I want to remind everyone how difficult it is to do what I do. For anyone who has ever tried to speak in public and have found themselves in an extremely dark, dim, and scary place, please remember that I have filmed tens and thousands of hours of content. Not because I'm interested in becoming famous, but because I am very interested in documenting the change a human being experiences in reaction to the various extreme events that have occurred in my life. For example, I find it fascinating for people who truly believe that I'm an evil individual, and there will be two videos that are posted within 48 hours of one another. One is a video, which is the New Year's Eve video, where I clearly express my most angry, most venom-filled self, yet everything I say is the truth. And here, in today's video, I'm going to do nothing but show you the most positive version of who I am. Hey. Because by force, I have been eliminated from my children's life. And I need to accept the reality that it is until I completely destroy my enemies in court, or what I would like is a settlement. A settlement will allow all parties to move forward with their lives and understand that time does not move backwards. It is impossible for me to avoid the reality that there are tens of thousands of human beings who have watched this content and will immediately point to, well, what happened to Project Ghost? Well, what happened to this? Well, what happened to that? Nothing happened to it. They are in full effect and in full control over all aspects to make sure that everyone is nice and safe. But I am Ghost One. It is on me to change the narrative of my personal life immediately on the first day of New Year's Eve of the new year. So today is day one. I would like to call this the B Project. I'm sorry. And B can stand for whatever you want, but I will make $2 billion in 1,000 days or less. And the reason why I've selected 1,000 days is because I've broken it down into 25 chapters and 40 days per chapter. Chapter 1 is foundation. So at the end of the night, this project will require 12 hours of work per day. Out of those 12 hours, the 2 hours that I choose to film content will be aggregate and averaged out over approximately 60 hours per month. So that you will see that there will be hundreds of hours of film that will be directly related to the highlights and the amazing things that I do with the absolute pile of garbage that I've been dealt to restart my life. But thankfully, I'm in great shape. I have my hair, I have my health, I have my boys. I don't have custody of my children yet, and it is very, very disturbing for me to be able to put the amount of effort that I need to put all that aside and still smile and say, ladies and gentlemen, the sun is shining and the world is spinning, which means that it is on you to make the changes that you want in your life. So for me, I know for a fact that I'm dealing with human beings who I can buy my way out of the issues. So it is not in my best interest to continue to fight them when I don't have the proper resources to just write a check and make everybody go away. So it is important for everyone to understand why I have chosen to now start. Now this is called, it's the B project because it's the $1 billion project. But I would like everyone to understand that if you're watching this and you want to learn from it, it should be the $2 million project. Because a human being who can turn around and make $2 million plus net in 2 years or less is someone who is capable of doing almost anything in the business world. So please understand that do not start this project until first I have completed mine in full and I am successful in my rhetoric, or else it is virtually impossible for you to guarantee that the time that you have spent following me and watching what I do will end up in a net positive in your life. So right away, I want everyone to understand that from the gate, I will not start out by lying to you, by saying that if you watch my Instagram, you will learn this. You will not. What you will learn is that you can persevere and rise up above all of the negative sentiment that is thrown your way. And I, as Daniel M. Reeses, know for a fact that I have the experience, the drive, the will, and the intelligence to completely eviscerate my expectations, no matter how aggressive they are. Because I have carefully selected my timing to display that today is day one. So let's take day one, for example. This video is nothing but positive. So I also recognize that it is virtually impossible for me to disprove that I am not mentally ill, nor am I a drug addict, to human beings who are hell-bent on trying to prove it so that no matter what I submit as factual evidence, it'll never be disproven until I show the exact level of effort that I put in to changing my life and developing a set of faucets that drip. The story starts out with my grandfather very calmly explaining to me that, and my father reiterated this sentiment many, many times, so a lot of what you hear about my grandfather saying something is my father's rendition of the way my grandfather spoke. My father and my grandfather were extremely close, yet at the same time they were very contentious towards the latter part of my grandfather's life, because my father's diabetes was unchecked. It was recognized, but the support system weaponized his weaknesses against him. Unlike myself, who finds himself being completely lost since my partner of 25 years did some unthinkable things to me. But rather than continuing to spew negative content that does absolutely nothing for me or my two boys, what it does is it raises awareness to an extreme level, and it creates a paradox for human beings who want to ignore what they have done to me, while at the same time perpetrating that they are an instrument of justice, and for the greater good of our society, they wear the black robes, and they are the police officers, and they are the social workers that are paid by tax dollars. And, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to reiterate that when I speak of my experiences, there are solely my experiences. There could be hundreds, if not thousands, of families and human beings that have been extremely they were extremely lucky to be the beneficiary of human beings who are doing nothing more than just their job. I personally have not experienced that. So rather than continuously hammering away at a wall that is designed to crack my head open and make my brains bleed all over the place, not to be too graphic there, but that's exactly what happened to me over the last 5 months or so. As I have tried to navigate, it's going on 6 months, and I'm going to leave it at 6 months. And I'm going to say 6 months of hell / 5 years. That's hell. And this is 2 years of growth. So day one, foundation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up my life, and I'm going to see what real debts that I owe versus what phantom debts I owe. And the difference between real debts and phantom debts is that there are certain assets that I need to account for, such as my car, debt structure on real estate, as well as various other obligations. For me personally, the US government and the IRS owe me millions of dollars in taxes that I paid forward, which I have then lost and am owed. So rather than receiving tax credits, I'm going to go directly to the US government and demand for my money back, because I paid millions of dollars into a taxable system, and those taxes have been completely flushed down the toilet along with millions of other human beings in order to create a complete disaster known as the New Jersey political. Look, I am so hairy, it is crazy. I'll get a haircut, but I definitely am not shaving my beard until this project is first step over. So chapter one, foundation, revolves around me taking a grip around the last 6-7 years of filming content and creating a digital repository, as well as publishing some of my old videos where I clearly have expressed the true nature of everything that's going on. And the only reason why those videos were taken down were out of the request of my wife. And I did it thinking that I'm showing her love, but in reality, what was happening was there was a fact pattern that was being established that I am a complete lunatic. And that my lunacy, as well as, I don't know how to say this, but if you describe my actions over the last few years during the most traumatic and confusing time in my life as being insane, you also must discredit the 23 and a half years of absolute adoration and love which I've shown to my family, my friends, and anyone else who has ever met me. And the very nature of humanity simply does not allow humans to apologize to themselves, which is really the first step in making amends with another human being. You must apologize to yourself, and you must accept the responsibility of what did you do wrong. And I'll tell you what I did wrong in every single relationship, but not in this video. This video is to show that a human being is able to change overnight. Not immediately, please give me a break. But I will show you that day one consists of, I'll show you day one. So right here is day. And day one consists of cleanup. What do I clean up? You do digital, all the content, and let's clean up bills. Let's go through all of the actual bills that are owed. I have abandoned my cell phone number temporarily in order to streamline communications. I have a phone number, I just will never give it to anyone except my 2 children. I don't think that having a phone number where human beings can reach you, when you have a very clear business model set up where you have established communication goes through one individual for multiple reasons. Number one, continuity. When you have a third-party witness, disagreements mathematically are almost impossible to have, because humans have a third party that they can go to and say, hey, what happened during the communications? That's number one. Number two, everything that I say, which is counterproductive to an agenda of a human being that I am not interested in engaging with, will immediately change any form of communication brought forth out of my mouth, my lips, my ears, my brain. How do I speak with my ears? Check this out. See, that's Morse code for fuck you. No, just joking. My positive nature does not mean that I drop my sense of humor. I am not looking to become some sort of an autonomous work robot. What I'm looking for is to recreate the movie Back to School, but the opening montage. And the opening montage really is something that's so important to me because if it were up to me and I had the opportunity, I would spend every weekend or every day that I can night skiing, and I would get season passes for my boys for Montage Mountain in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And I, as a single dad, would gladly drive them and make sure that they are incredible skiers before next winter, which I have planned. And I have some amazing, amazing things planned for you guys, but you've got to get better on the slopes. And I am more than willing to show that other than working, which I will actually record and create into vignettes of stories or whatever Jamie decides to do with the content. My job is to change my life around. It is also to display to the world that human beings like myself, if taken the time and growing the set of balls that is required, can easily get over the trauma that they've experienced by publicly disclosing it. That is not to say that airing your dirty laundry is the right move. It's not. But not being able to look yourself in the mirror like I haven't, because I didn't do the right thing. And the right thing is to stand up against bullies. The last video that I made was me standing up against everyone who has bullied me in my inner circle. I tried to do the best I can to not go off on tangents regarding the world, but somehow I was able to make an analogy regarding Jeffrey Epstein representing them and the aliens representing us, meaning that they, not aliens, the drones in the sky, misspoken. The drones in the sky are issues that concern us in our inner circle of New Jersey residents. It was all over New Jersey media, it was everywhere. But the Jeffrey Epstein files really concern the world to embarrass and humiliate our current elected leaders, as well as public figureheads in media and corporate America. It is the root fundamental issue that, if given a choice, the average American resident will choose to find out more about Jeffrey Epstein and the dirt that he can represent versus the elected officials in order to really make them look bad, not good. There's no one that's going to be in a Jeffrey Epstein photo. It's like, oh man, what a pic. It's like, it's not Nelson Mandela. You can't put it up in your office as a good conversation piece. Mahatma Gandhi, for example. If anybody watches Seinfeld, there's a great episode called The Goiter. Now, when we look at the dynamics of the numbers, it is not complicated. Every single day, in the morning, I will film an intro. In the nighttime, you will get the final segment. I will not film the final segment until approximately 6, 7 p.m. at night, so that I am complete with an exhausted day of working my ass off to show everyone that yes, it takes 40 days to complete a chapter. 1 month is simply not enough, and you'll find yourself under the gun if you stick to, and I mentioned the calendar being Gregorian. I have no idea. It's a lunar calendar, solar calendar. I am not an astrophysicist, let alone an astronomer. I don't even have the words. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give me a break. I learned to speak English fluently when I was around 11. I was comfortable when I was 9. So I wasn't even fluent in the language that you see me speaking in better than 99% of human beings who ever attempted it. Let alone my conduct in court is simply better than my adversaries. My understanding of the law far exceeds the expectations of a pro se litigant. Furthermore, I am treated as if I choose to be a pro se litigant, I automatically have to be at the same level as top tier attorneys who have spent decades practicing this craft and understand the inner workings. So I will tell you that the difference between myself and the litigation that I filed from this point going forward is far more powerful and far different than what has been filed before. And part of bills, so for example, day 2 will be organize, and it'll be your debit versus credit. And this will go into and this will be part 39. 39 days left. So the countdown will continue on the days that I film and create this content. And I'm sorry, I really apologize. I look absolutely ridiculous with the amount of hair that I have here. I really was trying to go for something. I'm either going to be wearing a hat until I could really grow out my hair to a point where I want to. But self-awareness is one of the key components, in case anyone's wondering, to identify human beings that are not mentally ill. Self-awareness is an extremely important part of a human being's inner monologue. There is also an outer monologue. An outer monologue is what you want to display to the world based on the best way you can of yourself. An inner monologue are the things that you say to yourself that you're too afraid, embarrassed, or confused as to what the reaction may be. One of the things that make everyone nauseous when they watch some of my content is because I'm able to take the audience from an inner monologue to an outer monologue and back in one continuous segment without pressing the red button. It is imperative for everyone to understand that what I do is not easy, while at the same time it is not difficult for you to follow along with it. So just because the difficulties of filming are extremely high, that doesn't mean that I can't make the content digestible and easier for everyone to really grip a hold of and understand that if you want to see the positive things of how a human being is able to turn their life around in 1,000 days or less, please watch only Instagram. If you're interested in seeing the reality and the pain that a human being has to overcome in order to be the man that both he and the audience want to see, please enjoy the show at 11 o'clock. It is not a complicated format. It is solely designed for all the human beings that have gone against me and have pointed a finger as to some form of phantom wrongdoing. And it is only because of you, the human beings who have continuously accused me of wrongdoing, that I am forced to film the beauty in the recovery of the damages that you yourself have caused upon me. I recognize that there is much that I need to take personal responsibility for. But prior to even taking personal responsibility for, we have to really identify what on earth is going on. And rather than waiting until various court dates, motions, testimonies, and subpoenas, and other ridiculous things that are not something that two human beings that have been together for 25 years should ever be leaning on, but alas, I find myself not in a world that I control. So rather than, once again, crying about it, wasting time, being depressed, I will take this opportunity to change the narrative and make this about one man doing everything he can to both get his boys back and to show the boys exactly what a man is supposed to do when his back is against the wall and everyone has turned against him and he has nothing left to do than win the whole fucking thing. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the major leagues. This is not amateur hour. These are real issues that plague millions of human beings that very few people have the strength to discuss. But I will also make sure that the content is what I want my boys to see. So on Instagram, I want my boys to see the amount of work that it really takes to change your life around. And even though it is not my fault of what happened, it does not mean that I don't have the power to make a change. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daniel M. Risas. And if you find me one human being that is able to refute what I have to say publicly via video format, then I will immediately apologize and cease and desist from filming any form of content that is in relation to anything that you disagree with. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't hold your breath, because I am not lying. And you will find that by creating a set of circumstances that is negative, you have done nothing more than brought out the best of Dan Rieses. So please, ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. Relax. Sit back and enjoy the show.